This event is really special for us because it's part of an initiative called Speak Up, Act Up for a New America, which Breakthrough has undertaken to get immigrant youth of South Asian and Arab origin involved in the electoral process. When you go out and vote in November, that should really be the beginning of an engagement with the civic and political process that is ongoing. Because it doesn't matter who wins this election, whether it's Bush or Kerry, we're really gonna have our work cut out for us to make sure that we protect human rights at home and abroad.
One time, years ago, Henry Kissinger once called Bangladesh the wastebasket of the universe. And for those of you who don't know, Henry Kissinger suffered from Zackley disease. His face looked exactly like my ass. And Kissinger was Nixon's boy, which shows you how much integrity he had. So my father came from this little village in Bangladesh called Noakhali, and Noakhali was so bad it made the South Bronx look like the Hamptons. And my father used to hang out with these hooligans, these rebels, these outcasts. And one day they decided to get on a train and go to Calcutta to go see this film called On the Waterfront. And when my father took this ride to Calcutta and he saw this film with Marlon Brando, this film changed his life because he saw a world and a place where if you were an underdog, you had a voice and you had a place where you could really be free. And you know what's interesting is that after I tell people where I'm from, they're still not quite sure how to react. Like I remember my first job at the prestigious law firm on Park Avenue. The first day, the partner, a nice Ivy League graduate, came up to me and said, "Hey, you're the new guy from Bangladesh. Well, let me be the first to welcome you aboard." That's funny though, you don't sound like you're from Bangladesh. Like what was he expecting? "Good morning, sir. I am here today for the first day of the job. How can I be of some service to you, oh great white master?"
You know, it's hard enough being Indian in America, but I have 3 strikes against me. I'm Indian, I'm gay, and I'm an immigrant. Which means I fit in nowhere. The Indians look at me and go, "He's gay." The gays look at me and go, "He's Indian." And the rest of America goes, "He's a terrorist." I'm like, me, a terrorist? Hello! Well, firstly, terrorists don't say, "Hello!" But what am I going to do? Build an Axis of Evil float for the Pride Parade? Fabulous pink triangle with the Axis of Evil. Donald Rumsfeld, Condoleezza Rice, and Dick Cheney. Or am I going to beg the Al-Qaeda to let one Hindu in? So I can become their fashion police? Lose the white turban, Osama. Labor Day is over.
But I first started stand-up because a lot of the racism I experienced when I was growing up, I grew up in the 70s in Maryland, you know, and I was picked on. I was always picked on in school. I was called Dothead, Hare Krishna, goddamn foreigner. And those were just the teachers. But I experience racism all the time now. I was in the park a few weeks ago, and I saw this really bad mime. I know that's redundant, bad mime, but he was so bad that I started laughing, and he stopped miming, pointed at me and said, "If you can't appreciate fine art, then go back to your own country." I was like, how dare you speak? Isn't that like the one thing you're not supposed to do? Couldn't you learn to mime your racism, you know, little Hitler? Would have done the trick. But now I get mistaken for a lot worse. I do. Get mistaken for a terrorist. Every time I go to the airport, I get pulled aside. Last time the guy was like, "Excuse me, miss, we hear a ticking sound coming from your body." I was like, "Oh, that's just my biological clock." When do you get off work?
It's hard
hard time, Arab Americans. We don't get any of the cultural benefits. Every other cultural group gets months to acknowledge them, Hispanic awareness, Asian awareness. The closest we get to Arab Awareness Month is when the government raises the terror alert. And everyone's aware of where we are at all times, my friends. And sadly, that's the truth. So I grew up in Lodi, New Jersey, in Bergen County. Anyone know Lodi at all? Yeah! You guys know? All right. This was the ethnic diversity of my town growing up. I'm not exaggerating. You were either Italian or you were my dad. That was the town. I'm not making this up. And my dad has an accent. He's born in Palestine. And the kids in North Jersey have an accent sort of like Italian, a little more pronounced than mine. And they meet my dad, and there's always a slight confusion between the two. They meet my dad, they're like, "Hey, Mr. Obeidallah, what's going on? How you doing? What's going on?" My dad's like, "I don't know, what's going on?" Please tell me, my wife tells me nothing. What is going on? Things going on, yes? Please, somebody tell me something. Dean. And the Jersey guy's like, "Your dad has such a freaking weird accent. Where's he from?" I'm like, "He was born in Palestine." And they're like, "Oh, Southern Jersey." I'm like, "No, the Middle East." They're like, "Oh, like Ohio?" Just like Ohio. And in the defense of the kids in North Jersey, who knew where Palestine was? It wasn't on a map. I remember talking to my dad when I was like 10 years old about it. And I go up to my dad, I'm like, "Dad, Palestine's on the map. Where is it?" He looks at me very weird. He goes, "It is in here." Now that makes sense now, but at the time, I thought my dad was crazy. I thought he gave him a land in his head. Like, "Dad, are there camels in there? Are there a unicorn, perhaps? I don't know what's going on."